Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Look here, let me give you a quick recap of GD Chaos 4. You feel what I'm saying? Now, bruh and them getting high. These the brothers that done come to me, you know what I'm saying? I done gave them 7 grams when they first get there and all this and that. They're using the pressure of the brother, you know what I'm saying, that runs everything, right? So I tell the brother that got out of the hole, y'all remember the brother that took the fall for us and went to the hole for the 30 days? I tell that brother to watch him. They turn him out. And I feel bad about that. So I get him away from him and all this and that, right? So I take the gal. I get her to come to me and she says she needs help. I take the gal. I pop my whip on her. She wasn't going. She committed to her husband, but she got a family to try to help take care of. She trying to get money. So I respect it. You feel what I'm saying? So here's the thing. We're at the Deuce. And brother them bring it up at the Deuce. And a lot of brothers agree with him. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't my business. I wasn't supposed to get in that. I wasn't supposed to take nothing from them. You feel what I'm saying? But I did. But I had a trump card to play. And I was going to play it. And that trump card was simply this. These brothers don't deserve to do what they doing. They don't deserve this thing because they getting high. So everybody look, you know what I'm saying? When you can't win straight up, you get to play dirty. You got to do it. Because what was more important to the brothers is that these brothers is getting high. And then I said, oh, hold on, I ain't finished. Because now these brothers looking at me like, man, this dude here, he really about to cross out. I said, it ain't that just they getting high, you know what I'm saying, on addictive drugs, which is a violation of the law. I said, these brothers is shooting dope. And then they done tried to get one brother hooked on the dope. You understand what I'm saying? So now all these brothers looking at them, they got their mean mugs on, they crossed up right to left. You understand what I'm saying? And we all looking at them, showing them my teeth, looking at them like, yeah, okay then, what's really going on, right? So bro, them, they get on the defense. They say, hold up, bro. Hold up, it ain't like that. It ain't like that. So I said, wait a minute, because I ain't giving them no room to move and get up out of it. I said, are you getting high on dope and are you shooting dope? Simple as that, man. So that's when the COS said, answer the question. See, my COS was a quiet dude, so when he did speak, everybody listened. You feel me? Pit bull. Gotta have one of them, y'all. So they looked at him and said, yeah. So he said, hey, bro. I said, what's up, fool? He said, man, I'm finna put in paperwork on this, man. He said, I'm gonna put in paperwork. And he asked me in front of everybody the question that I was dreading, but I had to deal with it. I had to get it on out. He said, bro, how long you been knowing about this? He said, man, when I told him, I said, bro, when I went to their cell that day, when everybody asked me to go talk to him, I went to their cell, I found a needle. I said, bro, take care of that, right? I said, and then he said, who did you tell about it? I said, I told Ray. I told my number 2. I said, we was giving him a chance. And the fact that I told Ray that we give him a chance to get clean, but we were going to disclose it to the whole body, you understand what I'm saying? In time, I was covered. See, we wasn't using them or manipulating them to our ends like Brother was. We were trying to give them a chance to get clean. But it was going to have to come out one way or the other. So Brother knew they had been checkmated. They knew they had been checkmated. So let me tell you what they did, though, how they tried to play out under that. This is what they did, right? They told Brother look, you ain't even got to write it up. We're going to plead guilty to this. Accept what we got coming. You feel me? See, that impressed everybody. Because these old heads, don't get me wrong. These brothers been doing this for a while. They understand the maneuverings that you got to make. And when you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar. You understand what I'm saying? They understand it. So they threw themselves on the mercy of the body. And the body was merciful. The body was merciful. So he said, we can deal with this now. So Brother said, look, you can go on and give us 6 minutes, no cover up. Just the fact that they said that. And I knew I was being played then. The fact that they said that called for mercy. I said, bro, it ain't got to be like that. It ain't got to be like that. So my COS looked at me, he said, Joe T, what you want to do? I said, fine them, man. Just give them a fine. They don't do it no more, we good. Everybody was in agreement with it. Everybody was in agreement with it. I knew then, I said, okay, I'm going to have problems out of them. So they fined them. One of them fined them. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a lot. $25, $30 worth of commissary, something like that. And then told them, look, you can't get high no more. You feel me? They weren't even allowed to smoke weed for 6 months, right? But see, these brothers understood, like I said, the maneuverings of the business. They knew at that point. See, I was still a little naive to the business, right? But they knew at that point I had to go. They had to get me. But they got to find a way to get me. You understand what I'm saying? They had to find a way to get me. And it wasn't going to be easy because I followed the law. So I go in the back. Bro wanted to holler at me. I go back there, drop off, take care of the business, all this and that. And he talking. He said, I hear you got problems out there. I said, yeah, these your guys, man. These guys done come down here, man, getting high. I said, did you know they got high, bro? He was like, yeah, I knew they got high. I said, now you ain't tell me nothing, though. He said, Joe T, you gonna learn a whole lot about what's going on with the guys, man. You gonna learn a whole lot. Because brothers be doing all kinds of things, man, and you know you gonna have to police a lot of that. Some things you gonna have to let slide. Some things you gonna have to come down hard on. At the end of the day, and he was giving me some real knowledge about the business, right? About the business. He said, some things, man, you gonna have to let go and live to fight another day. You can't hit everything at one time, all the time. He said, everybody around the state hearing about you, how well you doing and all this and that, and you new to it. But you true to it. And you ain't playing. Anybody know they come down here, don't come down here playing. Because you ain't going to play with them. I said, nah, bro, I ain't going to play with nobody. I said, man, I ain't even going to play with you if you come out here. He started laughing. He said, bro, I get a pass here where I go. I said, I already know. I already know. You feel me? So anyway, I'm looking at the situation as it is, man. And I know that if I don't take care of what's going on with them, I'm going to end up crossed all the way out. Crossed all the way out. So brother and them went on a campaign just chilling, right? Just chilling. But about that time, you know, these officers that been getting paid off by Ray and all this and that, they stepped back in the scene, man. They back on the scene now. They done got full-fledged addict mode, man. I mean, when I say they gone. They all the way out there. I'm like, man, what am I supposed to be doing? I'm not supposed to be taking care of somebody's habit. I'm not supposed to do that. But see, this is a problem that you will have when you deny it. Everything that happens becomes your concern. Because I got a few things I got to keep going. I got to make sure the nation is abiding by the law. And I got to make sure everybody's still eating, man, in one way or another, or have the opportunity to do it anyway. And if you can do that, you can run anything. But that was becoming a headache. I got to worry about the police. They want nails. I got to worry about these brothers trying to cross me out. I got to worry about brothers that might end up addicted to drugs and all this and that. They got family problems. They want to talk and all this and that. I got to do all that. You become a babysitter. That's just what it is. So I look at the situation for what it was. One fight at a time. I got to deal with one fight at a time. And I knew that these brothers was trying to get me, so I hollered at Gal. And I told Gal, I said, look, I said, I need your help now. She said, what you need, Joe T? Because I've been taking care of her. You know what I'm saying? Breaking her off for the pack. She taking care of being getting caught up. She starting to come in, her whipped, looking good, nail looking good, all this and that. I know her husband loving her. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, she said, I'll do anything for you to help you. You done help me out, right? I said, look. I said, I need them took care of, right? She said, what you mean? I said, not like that. I already know what it is. She always try to throw stuff up in my face, like, and I ain't even trying to talk about no sex or nothing like that. I ain't trying to prostitute the girl or nothing like that. I said, these brothers need to go. She said, what you mean they need? I said, they need to go. They need to be gone from here, this institution. They need to go. She said, I don't know if I could do that. I said, you the police? How come you can't? How come you can't do that? She said, it don't work like that. I said, okay. Now again, I'm still young to the business. You feel what I'm saying? Penitentiary too. You know what I mean? So she said, but what I can do, I can talk to somebody that can. I said, I don't want them hurt or nothing like that. I just need them up off the compound. I don't need them around me no more because they are dangerous. It's going to be a problem and I don't want to have to go there with them. You know what I'm saying? Because they out of business. They out of business. But see, I'm being naive. They done already come up with another female that's just as scandalous as they are. She trying to get her money. They done told her that I'm the one that's standing in the way of them being able to take control of the compound and get all the money. They gonna break bread with her. You feel me? So she gunning at me. She come to the cell. She shaking down. Me and my partner Tim and we chilling. She come in there, get on the wall. I got dope everywhere. She come in there, she shake down. She finds some dope. She said, "What is this?" I said, "Look, I played my hand too quick." I said, "Look, we straight. Don't be coming up in here like that." She said, "You ain't straight with me." She knew what I was talking about. I said, "What's it gonna take to get straight with you?" She said, I hear you ain't the one that I need to be straight with." I took offense to that. That's what you mean by that. She said, "Your day's number." She told me too much. I said, "My day's numbered, huh?" She was like, "Yeah." She said, "You ain't on the winning side no more." I said, "Who you think on the winning side?" She said, "You know who it is." She said, "I'm on their team." I said, "Okay, I'll tell you what. Between now and then, you're going to be on my team." She said, "You're arrogant." She cussed me. She said, "You're arrogant fuck, ain't you?" I was like, "Yeah, I sure am. Yeah, I get what I want." She looking at me, you know what I'm saying, giving me that look like she trying to figure out should she jump ship and get on my team, right? Because I ain't scared of nothing she saying. I ain't backing down from nothing she talking about. You feel what I'm saying? I said, "Look, keep on playing games, right? And that's what you're going to get, games. I don't play games. Ask somebody about me." You feel what I'm saying? It was one of them like, "Do you know who I am?" type moments. You feel me? I said, "You better find out about me, who you dealing with." You feel what I'm saying? And then you're going to know you're on the wrong team, right? Because I don't play like that. She went and she did her investigation. She went and hollered at the police that Ray been paying off. They told her I'm the real deal. She come back to me. She said, "Look, can we work out something?" I said, "Under one circumstance. One circumstance." I said, "I got to get them. You knew they were trying to get me. I need to get them. How were you going to get me?" She said, "I was going to bust you, and I was going to keep busting you every day until the warden got sick of you." I said, "Why didn't you do it the first day?" She said, "I was just trying to see what was going on with you, test the water." I said, "You tested the waters? What did you see?" She said, "I always checked about you." She said, "I ain't listening to nothing you saying. I checked on you, and I heard for myself." I said, "And?" She said, "Oh, we can do business." I said, "Bet that." I said, "This is what I need. What you was going to do to me, I need you to do to them." She said, "They ain't got nothing right now." I said, "Oh, we going to make sure they got something." She said, "What you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to give you something. And you going to say you got it off of them. Out their room, whatever you got to do. But you going to pop them down." She said, "Man, I really don't want to do that." I said, "Do you want some money or not?" And this is literally how you had to talk back in the day. "Do you want the money or not?" She was like, "Yeah." I said, "Then do what I asked you to do. It's as simple as that. Do what I asked you to do." She took the money and the dope and popped them down. They end up going to the hole. They get out of the hole, pop them down again. They end up going back to the hole. Now, I got somebody else putting the information out there that they running things. Oh, yeah, he don't like that. This warden back in the day, he ain't like the fact, he don't like no inmate thinking they running nothing, right? But he didn't even understand what was going on. No way he could have known. It's not about disrespecting him. I wouldn't try to disrespect his authority or anything like that, right? It was just the way it was back then. I came through at a different time. I learned different ways of doing things, different methods of handling things back in the day. But today it's totally different. But anyway, you wanted to hear stories about back in the day, and I'm giving you that. I'm giving you that. So they get out of the hole this last time, right? And they come to me. And these old heads, right? This is how they come to me. They said, "Joe T, we know you behind all of this. And everybody got to play their role, right?" I said, "Bro, I ain't on nothing, man." I said, "Y'all always trying to say I'm doing this and doing that, man." They were like, "Look, bro, what we saying, we respect it, man. We respect it. We know they finna ship us, man. I shot at you, we didn't get it. It is what it is. I said, but look, you gonna be straight? Threw them a little something, because that's all they wanted. That's all they wanted. They wanted to be able to do what they wanted to do. And a lot of times when you got brothers in the organization, they don't want to see the big picture. They want what they want when they want it, because that's how they've been able to do their time. And that's what one of the lessons that I learned back in the day. People do their time different, whether they're part of an organization or not. But on top of learning how people do their time, what I learned was that, everybody's not going to see life the way you see it. They're not going to see life the way you see it. I felt bad for a lot of the things, and I feel bad today. You know what I'm saying? But I felt bad back in the day for a lot of the things that I had to do to survive the environment. That's one of the reasons, I tell a lot of stories about what other people did, but honestly, y'all, I'm ashamed of a lot of the stories that I could tell you about what I did, but because you're asking for them, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you. You know what I'm saying? And I hope you learn something from it. I hope that you don't take it in a way that I'm glorifying anything, because I'm not glorifying this life. I just don't do that. It's not to be glorified. But I'm telling you how it was back in the day. But anyway, let me get back to the story and tell you how this thing ended up, right? Brother them got shipped, right? Brother them got shipped. And when they got shipped, honestly, it's going to sound cold too. The female that helped cross them out, dismissed. Why did I do that, you would say? Jochi, why didn't you just take advantage of the situation? Because I couldn't trust her. I couldn't trust her. I knew that I would never be able to trust her the way that I would need to trust her, because she made a decision to get me, and she switched so easily to my team. You understand what I'm saying? Not because she needed help like the other girl. She switched to my team because she saw the benefit, right? She wanted to be on the winning team of the gangster that had the compound. Since a lot of people like it, a lot of women like that. They like gangsters, y'all. They like that. She wanted to be on that team. I could have been lying to her the whole time. I just had a little dope together. She didn't know. I like loyalty, right? I like loyalty. But the girl that switched to my team, the first girl that switched to my team, and she told me that, look, I got a man, I'm trying to do what's best for my family. They lied to me, they tricked me, this and that. I knew that to be true. And I helped her. And we stayed cool for years. She's gone on with her life doing a great thing. She don't even work in the institution no more. She couldn't do it. She couldn't do it. She could not do it. But look, I got plenty more of these stories to tell y'all. I hope y'all tune in for them. You know what I'm saying? Hit that subscribe button, y'all. I've been trying to get to 10,000 for a long time, man. And I haven't been able to get there, but I'm trying to get there. 10,000 is a monumental goal for anybody that's on YouTube trying to be an influencer, and I'm trying to get there, y'all. Help me out. And if you don't, you know what I'm saying, subscribe, hit somebody up that you know that might like the type of stories that I'm doing. You feel what I'm saying? Help me get there. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.